Hello, hi everyone. Hi Casey, hey Matthew, hi Zane. We have some new names. Jocelyn Yo, are you first time here?
Yeah.
Chester as well.
So
Hi, hi. As per usual, do share your name, uh, your website, your IG perhaps, so that we can get to know each other a little bit better. Not just getting to know us, but getting to know everybody in the group, in the community.
Hello Patrina, hi Matt. Saying hi to some of the guys on Facebook Live. How come you guys don't join the Zoom instead? So that you can show your face. Yeah, Patrina. Hey Yong Hao, Zhen Wei. Wow, a lot of people actually are on Facebook Live instead of our Zoom because you're afraid that we will ask you to turn on your camera and then
Hi, Chester. What's your IG? What's your website? We'd love to get to know you.
Mr. K, I'll type it out.
Love your website, Zane. Looking good.
hi Vincent.
Very nice, very nice. Keep it up. Very good stuff.
Hi Jordan.
So while we're waiting, people are sharing their websites and their IG account. Take the time to go visit them. Yeah. So you get to know a little bit about the one sitting beside you in Zoom.
Hey Marianne. Thanks for joining our Facebook Live sessions as well. For those who wants to um, ask more questions directly, you can join us on our Zoom session as well so that we can interact better.
Checking your website out, Chester. Cool, cool. You're doing a little bit of everything. Very nice.
Mainly video, I guess. But
Okay,
also
okay,
photo. Quite
okay,
a bit of photos as well.
okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Cool.
Hey Erwin, Christopher, hi. Actually, we are seeing a lot of familiar names that we haven't seen for a few months now, I would say. Yeah. Hopefully, when we restart phase two, in about a few weeks' time, I guess, we can see everyone, back in our studio, have some drinks and, talk about photography and have some real human contact again. Yeah.
Yeah, but 10 at a time.
And yeah, so we do time slot.
Yeah,
Yeah. We do 30 minutes, then after that, then
change. Okay. Checking depth of tills out. That's what, Matthew. Yeah,
yeah,
cool, cool. Lovely, lovely. Very clean photography as well. Yeah, I guess you will benefit lots from Bryan today, since it's a bit of that aesthetic that you have
yeah,
that you can definitely improve. Good stuff. Good stuff. Uh, do check out Dinosis photography. Yeah, he's an amazing architectural and interior photographer.
yeah. Hi,
Super
Nikki.
good stuff. Rogan Yo, checking you out now. Lovely. Cool event photographer. Yeah, I mean, even you do event, you should start to explore different things. Just expand your repertoire. Don't just do put event in your Instagram, because now it's all very event, and wedding. Try to do a little bit of personal work to expand your vision, or else it's just um very work related. I mean, sometimes your a little bit of personal eye is good. Oh yes, I see a little bit of that, the black and white blurring stuff. That's
Hi,
kind of cool.
Alvin. The Zoom link, you can find it on our Facebook page actually. Yeah, so you go to rawspace.sg on Facebook, right? And then the Zoom link is actually in the comment section. Yeah, Daniel, perhaps you can just put the Zoom link onto the main. Yeah,
Mine is full screen. I can move.
okay. Hey, Warren.
Stephen Chu, lovely stuff. Very nice portraits. Good eye for light, actually. Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up. Very nice. You've only got 16 posts, but expand it a little bit more. Yeah, expand it more. Do more of the more of the same person. Yeah, do a whole series of one girl. You know what I mean? That would expand your flexibility. It will show off a bit more of your flexibility, Stefan. Because now it's all very one-off shots. Yeah. Larac. Is that how I pronounce Erwin? Laak? Laak? Lack?
No, it's like luck.
Luck. Okay. And what does that mean?
Like lay architecture or something like that.
Okay.
Trying to act French and sound French, but nowhere near as classy. So
Yes. Okay. Very cute. Cool. Very nice. Lovely interior stuff. Clean as well. Cool. Try to color grade a little bit more. Your pictures can be slightly more bold. I find your interior, your angles are nice, they're straight, you've got good composition, but I think you can push your I don't know, your style a bit more by having a slightly more interesting color grade. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Not at all. Very interesting. Very clean. I love it, but I think, yeah. Do you grade it with Capture One or Lightroom, or do you even grade?
I used to use Lightroom a lot. Now I've moved to Capture One these days.
Okay, yeah. Be a bit more bold.
But my main gripe with Capture One is that the straightening tool, all the 4 lines are connected. If they create it like Lightroom, then it'll be awesome.
Okay, well, I mean, then in that case, I don't know much about all these straightening tools, to be honest, but maybe you could have the best of both worlds and do your straightening in Lightroom, then import it to to Capture One. Okay, agree, possibly.
I think it will also degrade the file a little bit.
Yeah,
if you
probably.
do that from Lightroom to,
probably. Yeah. I mean, you got really good lines. You got really good, but I feel your color is, still a bit too. It is real. It is very representative of the space, but I think you can cheat a bit lah, make it look a bit more expensive sometimes. Right?
Okay, I'll try it one day.
Good stuff.
Thanks for that.
Not at all.
Hi, Ifan. Hi, Alvin and Gerald.
Going down the list. Going down the list to Wei Lun.
We're gonna start in about 5 minutes time because I think some of our folks are really, heading back to work and then just finishing up on their dinner or on the way back home. Yeah, so we'll just wait for another 5 more minutes to admit more people and then we'll see you soon.
Cool. Checking you out, Wei Lun. Okay. Cool. You need to brush up on your lighting, Wei Lun. Yeah, your lighting is still a little bit too. I've always this thing when I say, when I look at photographers and I can see the flash, when I can see the quality of the flash, the light, that white, clean 5005 Kelvin light. Yeah, you need to start to break that flash and color grade or kill that whiteness in your photography. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why he's here today to learn more from my
Yeah,
clean white light.
clean white light. Yeah, I mean, if you look at your commercial page, right, Wei Lun, you look at your guy doing the battle rope or the guy lifting the tire, there is that flash light color. You know what I mean? It's too overly lit already. It doesn't feel natural because flash is a very unnatural light. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, your flash is too overpowering. It kill the ambience of the space. So yeah, you need to finesse it a bit lah. Yeah. But
Hey
good,
Jin,
good.
hi Jenny.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Very nice.
Yeah,
I love your fashion
Brandon
stuff.
as well.
The fashion stuff are slightly more bold. I can see a little bit of that clean and white, soft look as well. So you're here to learn a lot as well today. Awesome. Nice. Yeah, but you have a lot of everything, huh, Wei Lun? You got commercial, fashion, food, portraiture, events, interior spaces, product, graduation. Yeah, at some point you might want to start, shifting and don't be Jack. You know what I mean? Yeah, Jack of all trades. Yeah, try to skew towards a specialty. Yeah, maybe now as you're starting out, you need to do a little bit of everything by all means. But at some point you start to shift yourself, or else you're just going to be master of none.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say that, hey, don't be Jack and end up in the bottom of the sea.
Yeah. No, I mean you're competent. You're competent across the board, but you're master of nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So start to pick your specialty and go balls deep into it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Cool. Wow, his graduation is all SQ girls, lor. Very nice, very nice.
It's a smart one actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, time to grow them balls. Exactly. Wei Lun. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, man, guys. Yeah, keep this going. You know what I mean? We want to kill time and do a bit of sharing, a bit of critique.
Follow each other as well. Yeah. Grow the community, grow your own followers, and help each other. And yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yes, TGIF, everybody. Yeah, it's a lovely Friday. We are into phase 1. Things are opening up. There's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, it seems.
Not really. I'm supposed to shoot a wedding tomorrow.
Well, yeah. Baby steps. Yeah, baby steps. Okay, that being said, before we start, I'd like to share with you what's potentially coming up next week. Next week, we've got the entire week dedicated to the industry opening up. We are collaborating with PPAS. Mm-hmm. Myself being on the committee in a slightly behind the scenes capacity. The guys who are doing the big push are doing all the hard work. But now I think what we are doing together as Raw and the PPAS is the fact that we are going to be going down to the grassroots level, because as you all know, a couple of days ago, there was this huge town hall meeting where everybody got together to have a little chat about next steps and protocols and to just come together. So now we are going to do 2 different sessions for 2 various groups of photographers. The first session being Tuesday next week, same time, 8:30. That will be the B2C kind of photographers ultimately, right? So B2C being, let me just hop over to our slide. Hang on. 1 minute, very quickly. Too many things. Okay. B2C being portraits, wedding, baby, pet photography, event photography, and Instagrammers. Okay. So we will be hosting a session together with all the PPS committee. Maybe Daniel, you can stop screen share. Let me do mine.
All yours.
Okay, thank you. Share screen. Okay, guys, B2C, right? So here, okay, for photographers who are in these various industries, do join us. We will talk in depth about how we can, make the steps to open up our industry in terms of protocols, in terms of all the nitty-gritties pertaining to phase 2 and phase 3 of the country opening up. So ultimately what we want to do is to be ready. To be ready and to get rid of all the curiosities, frustrations that anybody might have, and hopefully we will be able to guide you with slightly more educated guesses in that sense. To be honest, no one knows exactly how, but at least we have certain protocols in place that we can advise you on. Okay, so that it will be next week on Tuesday, and then we have the other one, which is next Thursday, which is the B2B photographers, right? Same time, next Thursday, 11th of June, 8:30 p.m. We're going to be having advertising photographers, still life, fashion, food and beverage, interior and architecture, travel and leisure, industrial, and crew, assistants, hair, makeup, you name it. All right. These are the B2B genre of photographers.
Yeah.
So as both sessions, we will be bringing in, we are inviting industry leaders, so to speak, from every genre to come in to, hopefully lend the voice to some of you, for example, say, for example, advertising, I will come in and then I will speak on behalf of the advertising photographers, because maybe I know advertising, a little bit better, maybe so on and so forth. So we'll be bringing in all the various genre leaders, so to speak. Portraits, we could be probably bringing Ijun. Wedding, Bryan will hit that. Baby, we'll bring in Hat Tan, for example. Pet, we're bringing CS Ling. Instagrammers, we get to come in to join, the conversation and open up that conversation with everybody, so that we can be a little bit more united.
Yeah. The whole thing, the whole point of this is not just about, coming in to listen to us. We want you to be able to ask questions that you're unsure about. At the same time, if you already know the SOPs that's going around, and you have a better suggestion of how things can be done better, we want you to be able to share that with us as well, so that we can compile everything and submit to the authorities, and hopefully, we can make this happen sooner. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. So without further ado, I think we can start the session tonight. We are at the 44 strength on Zoom. Very healthy amount. I believe on live we have how many, Daniel?
35.
Awesome. So we got a nice, healthy number today. Very nice having all of you on a Friday. On a Friday night. Okay. No idea what day it is. We're working really hard, all of us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tonight, I think all of you are quite attracted by our quirky little poster that we created, right? That whole soft and clean look.
Who's here to buy that detergent?
We are selling the detergent, by the way. You drink a few cupfuls, you will be able to shoot like that. Okay. A little bit of insight into Bryan and his approach. We at Raw, we always have internal meetings to have to try to bring interesting content to you guys, and we came about this idea of doing today's session primarily because we were working on Bryan's new portfolio. He is taking this time of the lockdown to rejig his personal commercial portfolio. So while I was looking at his portfolio, something was screaming out to me. He has a very particular aesthetic in his work, from his still life to his wedding to his studio shots, his lifestyle shots. So I thought, what better way than to share this aesthetic that he has as a form of a look, as a form of a style that is starting to be something that he is owning. He's starting to own that space, right? So maybe after tonight, he might not own that space anymore.
Yeah, but it's okay. Then I move on to something else.
There you go. I like that. We use it as fuel to be better.
Yeah.
Oh, well done, Bryan. So, okay. Without further ado, I think Bryan, take it away.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen first and then do some setup so that it doesn't screw up. Yeah, like I said, everything is screwed up again. Okay.
Okay, like everything else, at every one of our sessions, do drop in your questions as Bryan is talking, and I will try to reply what I can in the chat or bring it up to Bryan's attention. Bryan will be busy presenting. He worked very hard, by the way. He worked the past 1-2 days on this deck. So
because it has to be aesthetically pleasing as well. So.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay. Bryan. All right. Okay. So yeah, I see a few. Oh, I see Xin Ling as well. Yeah, from my school, UB. Yeah, hi Jensen, hi Leonard. Okay. All right. I'm gonna start. As you can see, this is what I'm going to be talking about. My shooting of ultra soft, and very clean lighting setup. A bit of a minimalist kind of shooting. So it's something that I've been living with for myself as well. Is my style, the way I dress. I used to dress only in black, and then now I have some white and a bit of light gray and a dark gray. Yeah. So the reason is that some of my friends actually say, "Hey, Bryan, how about adding some colors to your dressing instead of having everything black?" So even my family also say that. Yeah, so I added white, I added light gray, I added dark gray, and then now I have a little bit more colors. Even my home decor as well. How I do my renovation is that I told the interior designer I want a lot of negative space. I want lines to be straight. I want a lot of clean lines and all that without seeing all the cables running and things like that. Yeah, so that was how I think I derived my photography style from my own personality. Okay, and I shoot a lot of natural light, but because primarily I'm a wedding photographer, and as being a wedding photographer, I have no time to work around, adding a flash or using continuous lighting so much. Yeah, because sometimes, we just have to learn to work around, shooting just only ambient lighting. And one way to do that is actually to master it. Yeah. So what I do is that actually for all the wedding shoots, I actually use A9. I used to use A9 and now I'm using A9 II. And I mainly use fast lenses like the 85 GM. I'm using 1635 GM as well. And I always shoot wide open. And the other thing that helps me is that I always start my camera at 1600 ISO. Yeah. So it gives me this very high key look without having to worry about noise, and things like that. And of course, in post-processing, I'm able to reduce noise significantly, and therefore giving me a very clean shot. But when you understand your sensor well, okay, this is one thing that I want to stress about. If you understand your sensor well, and you know your lenses very well as well, to the extent of when does it lose contrast, or how much light can you let into your lens to handle, you know, backlit shots, etc. You'll be able to get very high key shots without losing a lot of information as well as contrast. Yeah, because a lot of photographers that I personally met, okay, what they do is that they try to shoot backlit, and in the end, you know, everything is so blown out that there's no contrast in the pictures, and everything becomes overly flat and airy. Yeah, and then in the end, you have to pump in a lot of contrast, and also you have to recover a lot in post processing, which in turn uh, break your images and make it not so clean. Yeah, so today I'm going to teach a little bit about that as well, like, you know, the settings and how you use the camera and things like that. Yeah. So one thing about natural light that I love and how I direct my client is that, you know, when you're shooting soft light, why do I like soft light? Because it brings about this form of calmness when you look at, you know, this picture, for example. It's very chill, very calm. You can feel that natural warmth in you. So when I direct my client, especially when I'm shooting in this kind of light, I always tell them, say that, hey, you know, I want you to feel that soft, gentle glow on you. I know you can't see it because you're facing me, but you can feel that light almost on your skin. And then, you know, for people who are trying, when they believe me, right, they put so much belief in me, they tend to they tend to try to calm down so much that they they think that they can actually feel that light on their skin. Because um, it's actually not there. You can't really feel that light on you, but you're trying your best to do it. And if it's so minute that you actually have to make yourself so calm and have everything to flow so nicely, right? That you get a very nice picture out of it. And that's why soft lighting for weddings, I find personally that it's a very, very timeless way of shooting. Yeah, because of how it looks like. Yeah. So, for example, if sometimes, you know, even when I'm out there shooting in the hot sun, and my client starts to perspire, the only way that I keep them calm is actually to tell them to feel the breeze that is non-existent. Yeah. So simply like, you know, simply like lighting as well. I tell them, say that, okay, look, I need you guys to try your best to just close your eyes, and I want you to just feel the breeze, okay? Feel that fresh air coming across your face. Yeah. The moment where they try to feel something that is not there, they will have to really quiet down their mind, quieten down everything, and just relax. And that's the only time that, you know, you can get pictures like that that is very soft and gentle. Yeah. So that's how, you know, a lot of people ask, you know, hey, you know, how do you shoot very soft pictures? Wow, the flow, the mood, everything is just so nice and soft. And that's how I do it. Okay, so this is a set of images that I shot in a very, very small room. In fact, this whole space is the size of a bedroom. It's a bridal boutique, and it was actually done on the last day, just before the circuit breaker. We arranged for this shoot because we found out about circuit breaker. We put everything together in what, less than an hour, confirmed the shoot. I went there without a reflector, no light, just one camera, two lenses. That's all. I brought my 16-35. I brought my 85, like how I would bring to a wedding day. And I said, okay, let's just work in this environment to the best we can. So for those who remember, okay, it was actually raining on that day. It was overcast, and I was shooting an ISO 1600, 2000 for this set of pictures actually. Yeah. So what I do is that when you're shooting natural light, you have to learn to see where the light is coming in, and you need to learn to see how the light is wrapping around, and using the light in the room to actually wrap around them and become natural reflectors. Okay, so do you notice that actually I put her by the couch, that's next to the dresses, because it's a very nice wrap around from the light coming in through the window back onto the dress and softly reflected back onto her. So that's the kind of um, understanding and the kind of sensitivity that you have for just natural light alone. Because when you understand where to position yourself and your subject, you'll be able to kind of understand where to position your controlled lighting later on and how to diffuse later on as well, which I will show you. Yeah, but at the same time, if you look at the top left picture, you can see that it's a directly backlit shot. Yeah, and in fact, I think I'm shooting at almost 1/80 or 1/100 of a second, and I'm shooting at probably f 1.8 or 1.2. No, sorry, f2. Yeah, for this shot with a high ISO because it was overcast. I had to slightly overexpose my background, and I took another dress from the rack to use as a reflector because I didn't bring a reflector. Yeah, I was reacting very quickly, and then and while everybody's hoarding toilet paper and groceries, I had to go out for a shoot before I can go and do my necessity shopping. Yeah. So I was already kind of in a panic mode.
So Bryan,
And yeah,
you are essentially exposing for the shadow, right? You're exposing for the shadow
yeah.
to blow out the light streaming in the window.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's only for the first shot. Yeah.
Okay.
The rest of it, I'm actually exposing for the midtones and a bit of a shadow. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Awesome. Okay.
So the whole point of this shoot was to let the bride feel like it feels like a dream, because I went to the venue with no concept in mind. The designer called me in the morning and said that, hey, let's do a shoot now. I got somebody that wants to shoot, and then we arranged for the makeup artist within 15 minutes to go there, do makeup, and then I appeared like 3 hours later and say that, okay, let's do this. And then I went to the space, I look at the light and say that, okay, I think let's try to make this about a bride to be shopping for her dream dress and then trying everything that she can and having fun. Yeah, that being like in this wonderful land. Okay, so that's how this series came about. Okay, I'm going to share more. All right. I also used a lot of day curtains. So from the earlier set that you've seen, okay, there was no diffusion because it was already a very overcast day. The lighting in was actually very, very bad because there was a lot of greens shining through because it was a two-level shophouse at Boat Quay. Yeah. So as if you guys know that area, there's a lot of greeneries and tall trees. So the natural light coming in through the window is not exactly like white clean light. If you have been to Raw, you will notice that our light there is very clean. But certain places where you're looking at natural light, the foliage casts this green lighting back into the room and causing it to look very greenish, and therefore there was a lot of tweaking to be done in post processing, the color grading. Yeah. So that's why this is one of the reason why a lot of photographers who are shooting close to what I'm shooting, this style, have a lot of problem correcting their image to get white as to white, because I've gotten a lot of questions, in fact, asking about, hey, how do you get your images so clean and white? I shoot almost like that, but I can't, because there are a lot of variables when you're looking at shooting natural light. And that's the reason why sometimes even when I want to shoot pictures that look like that, I have to shoot it in controlled environment, because one, it's raining, or two, it's going to rain, or potentially my shoot is a long day that it will shoot past sunset. Yeah, so I need to have a very consistent lighting to ensure that I deliver to my clients the same results every other time, especially if they are getting me on a retainer basis. For example, like the feed that you're seeing me on my Instagram, like the eclairs that I'm shooting, over the various campaigns is always the same look. Yeah, because the brands want that continuity. All right. So in this case, for like this lifestyle shot that I took in the studio, I use daylight curtain. That means that, you know, like some of the sheer curtains or the roller blinds and things like that. Yeah, it's always very important to have this in your room to get that most beautiful soft light. Yeah, like, you know, as if you're in a hotel room of sorts. Yeah, but of course some hotel don't have window at all. So yeah, very sad. Yeah. Okay. So I use this natural light into the room, but however, understand that when you diffuse light, it's almost two stops under. And then guess what? You have to push up your ISO again. So usually when I shoot at RAW with the diffuser down, and I think this was at about noon time, because I think from 1 p.m. onwards at RAW, the light is phenomenal. The light comes through. Yeah. So this was slightly in the afternoon. And on this day as well, I think it was also raining. Yeah. This was during a Sony workshop that I was giving. And yeah, it was overcast and it was raining. I think some of this shot I was shooting at almost 3002 ISO already. Yeah. Simply because I need my EV to be about 1.5 stops over. Okay, so if you have any questions regarding natural lighting, you can ask me now, so that, you know, or along the way, then I will try to answer you, or Jeff will have to answer those questions in the chat box. Yeah, and then I'll continue. Okay, now,
yeah, because there is ultimately two ways of creating, you know, that soft and clean and bright look. Essentially, you know, obviously the most available and practical and softest light that you can possibly have given the right conditions is obviously daylight, window light, in essence. But there's also obviously flash, right? That flash or tungsten that could give you that soft light in terms of recreating that look to achieve consistency. Sometimes I think, you know, Bryan would make that considerable executive decision at the start of any shoot, looking at the weather. Singapore's weather sometimes is very unpredictable. So if checking on the weather, you might be encountering rain in the afternoon, and then imagine you start a daylight shoot, and then halfway into the shoot it rains and you cannot shoot you know, half your day. So sometimes it's better to just say screw daylight, you know, let's go with flash, so that you can be assured of consistency all throughout the day into the night. Sometimes it's about planning, knowing how fast you're going to shoot. If you've got one shot, two shots, it can be done in an hour or two. By all means, go with daylight if the weather is good. If you're not sure, check the weather forecast. If you're doing a full day shoot, you know, it's always good to plan ahead and not just, oh, today, this morning, daylight very good, huh? You know, let's shoot daylight. And then 3 hours later, as you know, Singapore's weather, it changes just like that, right? It changes just like that. So so you need to really plan and, you know, have foresight. Okay.
Yeah, don't let your nightmare happen prematurely, okay, in the afternoon. Yeah. So, okay, I don't use spot metering because ever since I switched to mirrorless, what I see is almost what I get. But of course, most of the time, I think about 90% of the time, I actually shoot tethered to a computer. I'm able to see my highlights, I'm able to see my shadow and my midtones. More importantly, I do not actually intentionally clip my whites because when I over by 1 to 1.5 stops, you know, if it takes an average reading of my scene, okay, what I do is that I make sure that my whites are not overly exposed. I will, okay, if you look at the histogram, 0 is being black and 255 being white. Okay, typically I have a graph that is more towards the right, a shoot towards the right hand side. Sometimes clipping only very minimally. I'll take 2 shots. Maybe I'll take one that is 2 stops over, and then I'll check if it's recoverable. And then I will shoot maybe like 0.7 over or 1 stop over, just to see how much can I push my sensor to recover back details without introducing a lot of artifacts in the mid-tone areas, especially. Yeah, because sometimes when you overexpose and then your highlight area actually blends into your mid-tone, and in the end, right, it gives this very ugly look that makes it very like, very uneven fatness in the image. Yeah, whether is it products or food or human. Yeah. So my white balance settings, if I'm using daylight, okay, typically I would put it at 5,000 or even sometimes 4,008 so that I can see a better white. And then I add warmth if I need to back into the skin tone, and also depending on how clean I want things to be. Yeah. So if you put it at 5.5, sometimes it still tend to be a little bit warm because Singapore lighting is a little bit warmer. It's not as clean as when you go to Japan or when you go to like, in the States to shoot in open settings. Yeah. So you have to be very careful of white balances in Singapore.
It's the humidity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also dust pollution.
Yep.
So in fact, if you go and shoot the last few weeks, if you went out for a walk, you notice that air particles in Singapore are a lot cleaner because of the lack of pollution. And the light also is a bit cleaner by almost 500 Kelvin. Yeah. So that's the kind of sensitivity that I have towards natural light and color. Yeah. If you are sensitive enough, you'll be able to see the changes in season over the Singapore. Actually, Singapore has a season as well. So there are certain times of the year where the light is a bit more orange, especially I think later in the year, because sunset's a bit earlier as well and things like that. So you have to be very careful. And then during the summertime in Singapore, where it's I think July till August or September, the light is slightly whiter. Yeah, you can shoot at maybe about 4,008 Kelvin and you can get white. And then in the earlier January and December time, I think daylight is about 5,000 to 5,005 Kelvin. Yeah, because I shoot so much during this season, I corrected my images to the point that I know, okay, that's the consistency that you're looking at. Yeah. So how do I edit my high ISO images?
Bryan, just a second before you go. I want to also mention that when you shoot, the way you shoot without clipping your whites, you are also shooting in RAW, so that when you bring into Capture One, you have all the information, all the resolution to be able to push and pull your tonal range, right? Your recovery in your whites, your recovery in your blacks. Capture One by far is, I can confidently say, has the best highlight and shadow recovery in terms of maximizing your tonal range. So, but that can only be done if you shoot RAW. Always remember RAW. Okay.
Yeah. And your bit rate as well, it must be as high as possible, because there are some cameras that allows you to shoot at I think 8 bits, and then I would leave it at 10 bit actually. Yeah, shoot at maximum, or uncompressed raw entirely, because you're working with extremes. Like if you're shooting the very dark minimalist shots where you want everything to be black, but then sometimes you want to have a bit of details pull out, you need that 0 to be able to bring back to maybe about 5. And then your 255, or when you shoot past 255, you're at 270, you want to bring back to 255 or 250, that is possible as well. So these are things that are very technical that requires you to be very sensitive about. Yeah, and not just shoot, oh, bright and means bright. Yeah, okay, it doesn't really work that way. And how do I actually edit my high ISO? Okay, this is a very interesting question, because when I shoot high ISO, it doesn't mean that my shots are noisy. Okay, for example, if I want to shoot an image that potentially is bright, I will shoot it brighter so that it eliminates the noise while compensating for the ISO that I've increased to. For example, if I'm shooting comfortably at ISO, say 1006, and then I am about half a stop under at 1006, and my shutter speed, my f-stop is already maxed out at my comfort level, let's say, okay? What I'm going to do is that I have to bring up exactly one stop to be half a stop over. And that potentially will introduce noise in post-processing, especially in the shadow areas, or if I do not light my pictures properly. However, if I am to push this ISO to maybe 2000 or 3002, I'm shooting potentially brighter. At the same time, I can bring it down and recover back without introducing more noise because I do not push it in post. I let the sensor and I trust the sensor to do the work for me, which is also part of what technology is doing for all of us right now. Yeah. So therefore, I am very confident to say that, just trust your camera to shoot at slightly higher ISO, maximize your comfort level in terms of your, let's say, for example, shutter speed. If you're not shooting an action shot, maybe you might want to go to 1/80 if you're pushing a very dark scene to be brighter. Yeah. And then shooting a 1.8 or even f2. I shoot at f2 because I want things to be as sharp as I can. Sometimes because I don't trust my own focusing as well. I move, the model move, and then the eyes is just off by a little bit, and then I'm screwed. So I shoot at f2, and that's my comfort zone. Yeah, anything wider than that, I think I feel a bit uncomfortable. Like how Jeff used to feel uncomfortable shooting past 800 ISO in the past. Yeah. Okay. Now back to my style. All right. Why I like to shoot bright, airy pictures. Okay, because a lot of the brands that I'm working with or the brands that I'm targeting for is brands that are lifestyle. They are things that people use and they're relatable. And I want to make things as real as possible. And I always have this pitch to them that I want to create an inclusive environment for your brand, and that's the way I sell my images to them. So I create this bright, soft, airy image to you, and then so that when your viewers look at it, oh, they feel like, hey, this feels like my dream home, the kind of home that I want to have. That's firstly, without even looking at the images. No, without even looking at the product. Sorry. So when they see that kind of image that relates to them in real life, then they'll look at the product and say that, hey, I think this product will fit my home so well. Aesthetically, I want this product, not because I need it, but because I want it. So in a way that, I'm pitching to my clients to say that, hey, my images can help you to sell just by, making it look comfortable to your viewers. Yeah, so that's where I came up with this series. So I shot for this teeth whitening kit for this brand, and they gave me full creative rights to create in any way I can. Yeah, so the client just sent to me, and then I did it in the way I can. And let me just show you, where is it? Yeah, so this is a whole set of images that I did in about 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, there are more, but these are some of my favorite. So I took some close-ups, I took some with shadow and light, and all these are shot with natural light. Okay, now you look at the image on the extreme right at the bottom. Do you notice that image has got a slight green tint to it? Okay, this is the uncorrected version. Okay, if you look at everything else where I shot, everything is very clean. But I want you guys to see. I'm not sure if you can see it on your screen, because on my screen is very obvious. There's a green tint on the corner right side until the bottom of the table. Okay, that's the kind of sensitivity that I want you guys to be able to see. Okay, if you're not able to see, firstly, maybe you want to train yourself to be able to differentiate even the slightest tint of even 5 to 10% of the tint. And then secondly, if that still doesn't help, you might need to get a good monitor, that calibrated one. Yeah, so I think it's extremely important as well. Okay, so shooting natural light or even shooting control lighting is not that simple if you were to present it in post after that. You have to make sure that there's a consistency of shooting natural light over various campaigns to look very similar. For example, if this brand comes to you and say that, okay, Bryan, I want you to shoot this next month, okay, and you know that next month is going to be rainy season, for example, and then how are you going to pull this off, giving them exactly the same look months after month, season after season? Yeah, so that's why, sometimes I feel that, shooting this kind of style gives me a lot of trouble as well, because of having to make it always look so sunny and cheerful. Sometimes I just feel dark and gloomy in me, and then yeah. So, but I can't. All right. Now let's go to the next one. Okay. Now this is the interesting part. Okay. This is a diffuse lighting. So I want to create soft, natural lighting, like how the natural light will come through our window. Okay. The reason is being that sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, or what Jeff mentioned earlier, is that when you are shooting and suddenly, Singapore just rain, or it just overcast or threaten to rain and it doesn't rain, and then you realize that in the studio, oh yeah, I should have just set up an umbrella and then double diffuse it, and you give me that window light, etc. So for this shot, actually it was lit with two Profoto 5-foot octabox softbox. Yeah, I will show you the behind the scenes later. Actually, I've set up the whole studio to show you on satellite as well. So I'll share it to you. Okay, one thing about creating soft light is not the number of lights that you pump into your studio. Okay, a lot of people or a lot of new photographers always thought that, wow, I just bounce light everywhere and then and it will work. You will get very bright pictures, yes, but you will get very, very soft light, but very messy shadow. It will not look clean. A clean shot means that you're getting clean composition, you're getting clean lighting, and also everything is aesthetically very pleasing in terms of shadow, the light, and things like that. So in this case, I put my light rather close to the client or the model, and I have a very big light source. In this case, I have actually two big light sources, which is a 5-foot octa. Okay, this is also something that is known as the inverse square law. Yeah. So actually, did I just stump everybody here with inverse square law? What the fuck is that? It's like, what law is that? I don't even know. Yeah. Okay. So inverse square law is the closer. Wait. The further you move away from the camera, the subject. Sorry, the bigger the light source. Yeah. You need a bigger light source. So if you move maybe 1 meter away, your light source has to be bigger by 2 times, right, Jeff? I also forget. Yeah, I only know
I think the simpler way to explain inverse square law is whatever is closest to the light is brighter. I mean, that's just the simpler explanation to it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So in that sense, whatever is closest is brightest.
We are not the study kind to tell you
that's
physics,
why we are
but
photographers.
yeah. But what I can explain in layman in our terms is that if you're to move this light further away and to create that same softness, the softbox got to be even bigger. Then you move it 3 meters away, this softbox got to grow even bigger. Yeah. So the further the light, the bigger the light source to continuously give you that diffuse light. So sometimes the closer you are to a small softbox, for example, if let's say you're just using a tiny little softbox, but you have the light just very close to your face. In fact, the light can still be very soft. But the moment you move this light 1 meter away, then you see that the shadow on your face just become much darker. Yeah. So one way is maybe you can change your iPad or your iPhone, right? Change to a white, and then you just use your hand and move it from closer to your hand and move away. You will see the difference immediately. And that's how you understand inverse square law.
Another thing about softbox or soft light per se, right? I mean, quite simply, a softbox, if placed far enough, can become a hard light, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's a softbox. It will give you a soft light, right? A softbox only works as a soft box if it's close enough to allow it to be soft, right? So technically, if I'm going to reverse it, right, the sun is the hardest light source because it's the furthest light source known to mankind, right? So hence we got really sharp shadows on a bright sunny day. But if I'm going to bring the sun really close to us, right up to my face, right, the sun is actually going to become a softbox. Do I make sense? Yeah, quite simply. So the sun can actually be a softbox if it's right by my face, but the fact that it's so far away, it became a very hard source of light because it's so tiny and so small. Same thing, right? The softbox, if I take the softbox and move it all the way across the stadium, right, and I fullest power, not that it will reach, but it will become a hard light. Yeah, all right.
Okay, so so if you bounce light off a white wall, okay, potentially if let's say it doesn't really give you a much softer light. You no doubt that it will still give you a soft light, but it depends on how close you bounce the light off the wall. Okay, because for example, if let's say the wall is 3 meter by 3 meter, and then your light source is 1 meter away from this wall, the light beam that comes out from it is only going to touch on this area and then bounce back. Firstly, you lose a lot of power, and secondly, the light may not be as soft as how you want it because a soft box is diffused twice. In Pro Photo, because you're shooting through baffles and then the diffuser, and the light dome itself is already also diffused. So it's almost kind of like a 3 times diffused light in a Pro Photo softbox. Yeah. So when you're shooting with an umbrella, same size, and when you're shooting with a softbox, the same size, it gives you very different effect as well. So don't think that I save money, I just buy a softbox, I just buy an umbrella instead of buying a softbox, and then you give me that same effects. No way, man. Okay, don't listen to anybody that tells you that. Yeah, there's a reason why people still buy an umbrella, and there's always people still using softbox. Yeah, that's one of the reason.
I mean, the big difference between a softbox is the fact that it has 4 walls that contains the light and projects it through a flat face, whereas an umbrella is it's curved and it bounces out in like that, right? So your light would then bounce off the ceiling, bounce off the floor because it's spreading, it's opening up. That's the difference between a translucent umbrella, for example, and a softbox. Yeah. JD has a question, Bryan. How do you create soft light for a group of 5 or 6 person?
Okay, well, this is actually something that's quite interesting. Alternatively, you can use a scrim. A scrim is this shoot-through diffuser. I mean, there are people who buy the small prata, the reflector, the 5-in-1, where inside is a diffuser. So we have a very big version that is 6 foot by 6 foot. So what you can do is that you can shoot an umbrella, translucent umbrella through this diffusion past the big screen, and then create a much bigger light source to lead everyone up. Alternatively, is that if you have a big studio, you can also use multiple light source, just placing them in the right place, or you retouch light out, like how Annie Leibovitz would have, put her lights. Yeah, if you see how she flag and light in different spots, and then and retouch the hell out of it. Yeah. So, but if you are to think of using one light source, I would think that you need a very big light source, or maybe two octas, for example, like the one that I will show you later. Yeah, that will potentially work for maybe about 4 to 5 people comfortably. Yeah. Okay. A reflective umbrella, no. Okay, a reflective umbrella with a white diffuser doesn't behave the same way as a softbox because of how.
Actually, it's almost. It doesn't, but it's almost. I would say it's similar. I wouldn't say it's not. It's different. I would say it's more similar. The only difference is the fact that your head will get in the way of your light because you're bouncing off into it. So your head is actually, I mean, as in the light head itself, right? So that will create, and then your catch light is also going to be a little bit different from a softbox. It's not as clean. You get that circle in the middle of your catch light, for example. But in terms of the way the light comes out of that reflected panel, it's going to be slightly more contrasty, maybe, perhaps, because it doesn't go through a double barrel of a baffle, for example. But it would be similar to a softbox.
Yeah. Oh, in fact, I tried this myself, Wilun. So I use the reflective one, right? Because it's inside is silver. So when I shoot through
it
a
could be white.
diffuser,
It could be white also.
Because
white umbrella. White umbrella.
Yeah. White umbrella is okay, but the reflective one that he asked, I think I tried it before, and then in the end I changed back to a softbox. Yeah, because I got lazy, right? So I set up the umbrella. I said that okay lah, let's just set up umbrella, put diffuser very fast. Okay. Then after that, yeah, I think once I told Daniel, hey, change back to softbox. Yeah, I think the light cannot make it. So yeah, it's too contrasty already. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. So sometimes I like to shoot a little bit low contrast, depending on the style of what the clients want, to create this very soft, a little bit hipster kind of look, very mattifying look as well. So for if you accidentally shot, your light to become maybe over contrasty, and you want to have, you can actually bring down the contrast of your image or add more shadows to give this very pale, how do I call it? I call it low contrast. Matte. What's that term that, I can't remember. Yeah, but maybe later when I recall that, I'll share again that term. Yeah, so it has this very, very airy look, bit dusty. Yeah, so, that's one way that you can actually create this look. So now, okay, let's go into something a little bit messy. Okay, this is what I call an organized mess. All right. Okay, to you, a lot of people will debate that this is not a minimalist shot. But when I created this concept, okay, this was commissioned by a celebrity chef, and I, once again, I have like full creative rights to what I want to do, and I start this entire thing in the brief that was given. It has to look very polished. It has to look very expensive, at the same time clean and modern. Yeah. So I put in my idea of say, okay, let's keep things minimalistic as well. At the same time, I will create the lighting as how I want it. That means very soft shadows in one direction. I only want to use one light because there's a lot of silverware, there's a lot of glass, and I don't want the reflection. Yeah. So this was shot with one 5-foot octa, only one 5-foot octa, and a lot of reflector boards. Yeah. And I kept it in this minimalist form of, styling. Okay, this is what I call the God's eyes in my own terms when I also pitch to client, because if you're looking from far, this looks like small little rooms or buildings that house only one or two occupants. And to me, this is still minimalist, because if you look at one plate, there's only one thing, although it looks like a mess, but if you go into a macro level, it's actually a lot of negative space in there. And that's why if you look at this whole image, there's still this aesthetically pleasing feeling that you get. And also because instead of putting wine or champagne, I choose to put clear water. Yeah, this is so that, the water does not interfere with the food that I want people to see. Yeah, so that's how I create my work, and the thought process I put into this when the client just say that, okay, I have this, I want you to create something, and then and I created this without any visuals or anything. I just plug this out of my head, and then okay, how I look at things, I characterize each and individual food. I make sure that the colors are not too similar. I make sure that everything was styled in a very contrasty way towards each other. Yeah, in terms of shape and sizes. So, anybody has any question in terms of this? Because once I move on, then it's another set of ideas already.
Very quickly, Bryan, Joan has a question about software. She said, what do you edit normally during post-processing? As in, what normal adjustments made in post-processing?
Okay. The earlier color grading workshop, I talked about this. The first thing that I always do is I'll do color balance first. I get the color balance to what I want, and then I will touch on the things that I want to correct. So if let's say I shot overexposed by one stop, the first thing that I want to do is to see which are the white areas that I can recover back. And then I will look at all the flaws in my image. For example, like, is my shadow exactly the shadow that I want? Is my mid-tone so bright that I'm losing contrast? Or am I getting flare into my shot where, you know, a certain part of my image is losing contrast as well? So I will look at all these flaws and I'll correct them bit by bit. Yeah. So when I have my color corrected, all right, and then I will be able to know that, okay, my environment color is this. And then I'll go to individual color. For example, I'll look at the greens, I'll look at the orange, I'll look at the red of this image and say that, okay, is that asparagus the green that I want? Maybe the asparagus has been cooked for a bit too long. And then, you know, the chef tell me, say that, hey, you know, Bryan, I would want the asparagus to look a little bit more fresh and not slightly overcooked. I'll tweak yellow to replace that yellow and make it a bit more green. And I'll dial down the green. I'll desaturate the green to about 30% to bring that green to a pastel, nice cooked vegetable green. Okay. And then if you look at salmon, you know, or you look at the tapioca chips and things like that, I have to make sure that the colors are all as close as possible to what the real thing is as well. So that's how I think. Don't, because that you have all the buttons and sliders that you have, you know, you just go and touch everything and, you know, like itchy hand. Yeah. You have to be very careful with that. A lot of photographers, I watch them color grade, especially like students. Wow, anything that can press, anything that can input, they must go and touch on it. I don't understand that part. It's like, then I ask them, why do you do that for? And then they can't answer. They will tell me, say that, oh, you know, I thought, you know, everything must adjust a bit lah. And then, yeah, okay, no, it doesn't work that way. Okay, right? So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Joan. Any questions pertaining to thought process? No, no means I won't be coming back. Okay, yeah, Wei Lun. Okay, when you stack multiple shots, to be safe, I always shoot maybe like, you know, you can do bracketing. The best way is to actually do bracketing of exposure, like maybe like one stop over, zero, one stop under, one stop over, and then you just have to you just have to work harder a bit lah. Yeah, that means that, you know, when you do focus stacking or you do like, you know, exposure, things like that, yeah, you just have to make sure that, you know, your tripod is planted, everything is done, you do your focusing properly, and then keep as many spares as possible so that in the event that, you know, anything happens or what, you have your backups and you have, yeah, basically work like as if you cannot screw up. I think that will be the best way to answer your question. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, this shot is actually not focus stack. Yeah, we didn't have time because the food is actually real food. Yeah, because we have to shoot very quickly, and this styling itself already took an hour just to style this. Yeah. Okay, so for me to get this image to look like that, we have changed a lot of canopies for one, because it starts to break down, it starts to melt, and then there's a lot of cleaning and then micro adjustments where I need to make sure that the tomato leaf doesn't touch the asparagus. I need to make sure that the light that I catch, the shadow, everything is perfect. Yeah, where the fork just nice, don't touch the plate, or the knife I can still see all the knives, and then my glasses inside the glasses are all clean without having weird things sticking around. So there's a lot of things to check, and I think when Daniel was helping me for this as well, wow, it's like we were in a lot of pain because of all these micro adjustments in this whole thing to get it in one shot. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll move on to the next one. Okay, now this is something that a lot of guys have seen in my work. Okay, this is a continuous campaign that I shoot for this brand, Leclerc. Okay, so they are always constantly coming out with new flavors every few months, and I have to do a shoot for them. And so far, I have not repeated my concepts. Okay, every concept that I have done for them are all unique. I think I've done about almost 6 shoots with them over the last 1.5 years. Yeah, or even 1 year, in fact. Yeah. So, and every time I have to create something new, but one thing that didn't change was the style. They have to constantly provide this style, and this is one of the reason why I'm able to get retainer jobs, and clients will always get back me to shoot the same thing, because I can constantly provide them with how they want their branding pictures to look like, and that's one thing that's very very important in continuing business with you as well. So this was actually shot in studio. Every other time we were doing it in the cafe, and this one time I said that I wanted to create something that is a little bit different, but I want it to be a lot cleaner than what I want to do for you this time. Yeah, for the spring summer collection, I want the colors to pop up. Yeah, so I said, and then at the same time, this was just before the COVID, the circuit breaker, and there was all this, like safety distancing and things like that. So it gave me this idea to create this look, yeah, of people, or of desserts, in their own space and time. Yeah, and I said that, okay, let's do it in the studio, and we are able to create this whole look. So for this shot, actually, I use two lights. It was done although in the studio, and I can shoot natural light, but because I understand that this shot took a very long time to do, so end of the day, what I did was that we created this. Let me see if I can pull out that behind the scenes video, and I'll show it to you. Yeah. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, how do I get this in? Okay, maybe I'll share later because I can't get my screen into here. So I will share the behind the scenes of how this was set up and how this was shot. Yeah, later on. Okay, so I will skip this part for now. In terms of styling, does anyone has any questions of how I do this or whatnot? This was actually created with two lights, one umbrella for a general ambient light back into the wall, and then I have a soft box just for the eclairs itself. Yeah, and then the picture of the hand there, this took me about 1 hour to set up as well, to get everything aligned. The randomness is not so random. Yeah, we have to plan everything to not repeat colors that are too close to one another and things like that. So this was actually this was the worst shot. Yeah, so simple shots like that doesn't mean that it's easy to do. Sometimes things like that are very very difficult because of how complex you want something simple to be. Yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron. Yeah. Okay. So now this is what I've been doing for a while. This was a bit of an older work. At that time, K-drama was this very. In fact, I'm still watching a lot of K-dramas now because I love the lighting. I think in previous episodes I've talked about it as well. My love for K-dramas. I mean, The guys there look amazing. I wish I could look like them, you know. Yeah, and then the girls are beautiful as well. What's more beautiful is that, you know, in every of their scene, wow, the catch light is so amazing. The lighting is so even all around. The color grading as well. Yeah. So I thought that I wanted to shoot weddings in that kind of romantic um, Korean drama lighting, and therefore I use a lot of screens and soft lighting. This was actually shot through a translucent umbrella and then shoot through a screen to diffuse the light further. Yeah, shoot through a 5 foot, 5 foot, it's 6 foot, so it's a 2 meter by 2 meter screen. Yeah, a 2 meter by 2 meter diffuser. Yes, this was a single light for this. I have the light setup as well. I will show everything later. Let me finish up my presentation so that I don't have to keep changing the screen. Otherwise, it keep messing up. Okay, this is an entire set. So if you look closely at the bottom picture on the left, it's actually, look at the catch light. Yeah, this is like that Korean drama catch light. Even on the left-hand corner top picture, even though she's facing away from that main light, her face in the shadow is still very nicely reflected back by a reflector board and things like that. So you look at her shadow on the top right corner of the picture where her hair is down. Look at that shadow on her. It's also very, very clean, very soft, and skin tone is also very beautiful. What's amazing about soft lighting like that is that it also gives a very nice glow to hair. Yeah, look at the hair. Yeah, not much retouching needs to be done. Okay, and one thing about shooting minimalist images or very clean images or soft images is that you need to have a very similar soft color as well. The color palette is extremely important. Okay, take for example this image, or even images that I shared earlier on. Everything has got a small number of color differences. Yeah, in this picture, the strongest color that you see is actually that pink balloon, that installation that the designer created. Yeah, but everything else is just white, light brown, and green. Yeah, even the potteries, everything is also, yeah. So this is actually what helps to create, a very holistic look to this look and feel. Yeah, so that's one very important thing when you're doing your styling. Okay, now the next thing is that minimalist photography is not just about creating negative space or what. All right, okay, it's simply about powerful composition. So when things are so simple, okay, you have to make sure that the composition is strong. It has to be very um, compelling as well. I do not desaturate the skin tone. I will try to match the skin tone or use light to to whitewash that skin tone for, as a matter of fact, Stephen, right? So thoughtful styling as well to how this was laid out, and then using hard light. Yeah. So clean lighting is not just about soft lighting. Clean lighting can be hard as well, which I'm going to share in, like, for example, this CD skin campaign that I've been shooting also on retainer basis. I In the top two corners here, in the top photos here, you can see that it's soft lighting. I shot the texture of the skincare product, and then after that the rest of it was shot in hard light. This was using a one single light source. I move it to the corner of the room, far away, so that in our studio is actually quite small. So I have to move it really way back to the corner to create this hard line, using one light source. Yeah. Okay, and hard light as well can also be clean. Okay, so not every time where you want to shoot clean, it must be with soft lighting or backlit and things like that. Yeah, for example, like this skincare, the same skincare product has to look similarly to what was done before. It has to look holistic as well in terms of their branding. So we added, we use hard lighting to create this very clean look as well. Okay. Now, one when I'm using one single light source like this, okay, what I like to use is actually the Photo Magnum reflector. Wow, I think it's amazing because it has this very concentrated light source that gives that very hard shadow right from the center, and then the fall off slowly starts to soften up at the side. Yeah. So if you turn on the light and if you shine onto the model, the center spot is actually very bright. It's kind of like the sun. At the same time, when the fall off outside of the light is actually very soft and it gives this very nice glow to it as well. Yeah. So yes, Jingwei, yeah, you're right. Hard light is very dangerous, but at the same time, uh, it's also important to know how you are handling your model, or your crew is important in terms of your makeup artist, the right model and things like that. Yeah, but so far I've tried it on a lot of even on real brights, and somehow it seemed to work because I use that light to I use the light very carefully as well. So yeah, you just have to understand what's the maximum magnitude that you can push this to. Okay, so this is shot at very high power to create that strong line of shadow. Yeah. So to me, shadow also gives that bit of dimension, because as you can see in this picture, everything is white. The dress is white. So by me creating that shadow, it separates the white from the white. Yeah, and it doesn't become flat, because when I'm shooting so hard light, right, potentially that I will whitewash everything to the point where the dress will lose its attention. Yeah. So by creating this shadow, I actually separate the white wall between the white wall and the subject to make this image pops out a little bit more. Okay. All right. So yeah. So to create this kind of light source, like I mentioned earlier, is also based on the inverse square law, what Jeff mentioned about the sun being very far away. So your clouds are your diffuser. Okay, so the big piece of diffuser makes your whole image very bright, so very soft, and that's why some people actually like shooting under the clouds, which also known as the open shade. Yeah, but in this case, I have my light very far back. I think this was shot in another studio. It's about almost 10 meters away or more. In fact, yeah, 10-15 meters away.
Another tip to create really hard, crispy shadows is to, for example, if you have the B10s or the B1s, remove that frosted glass.
Wow, very scary.
Remove the frosted glass so that you have just the ring of the flash tube, right? That will make it so much harder, because that frosted glass actually is their way of spreading the light across all their parabolics and their reflectors, so to speak. But if you want to create this super crispy hard line shadow, remove that, and then put your light as far away, you're going to get this super crispy sharp line in terms of your shadow. Yeah.
But personally, I still scared lah. So okay, because quite expensive. Although it's very good quality and it's worth the price, but
it's okay. Yeah. It's very robust. I do it all the time. Yeah. It's very robust. Of course, they say no and everything, but it's robust, and by all means do it. Always do it for the sake of the picture, and not so precious. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll do a tutorial video on that. How to take out.
How to take out.
Yeah.
And void your warranty. No, just kidding.
No, it doesn't void the warranty, I'm sure. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So yeah, so this is how it was created. Okay, so I have kind of finished my presentation here. Okay, so what you can do is that you can ask your questions while we are going to go into the other software. I'm going to share the behind the scenes first. All right, so that you can see the video. Hang on. Okay, see, I use a lot of reflectors. Can you guys see actually? Can, right? Okay, yeah. So I use a lot of reflectors in my shots to, you see, this was, there's a screen here using natural light, and then I have to, kind of like reflect the light back to soften it, and make the room even smaller so that the light source is very well controlled. And then, you see, there's a lot of reflectors, even though this is natural light. I use a softbox to bounce that light back back onto the reflector to make it even softer and also more natural. Yeah, while still employing most of the natural light to work. And this was also because I'm losing light as we speak. This was close to almost 6 p.m. already. Yeah. Okay. Okay, see, there's the screen, the reflector. This is to mimic the light on top is to mimic that natural light coming through the window. Yeah, and then reflectors on the floor as well. Oops. Okay, yeah, this was the shot that you guys seen earlier. Okay, where the two octa reflectors, two octa softbox to create the model, the soft light in here. Okay, and then yeah, okay. I think just now somebody asked about using continuous light. Okay, this was shot using continuous light for food demonstration for a Sony workshop that I was doing. So this was shot with aperture lights. In fact, we have that in our studio right now. Aperture has left some lights in our studio. So once we reopen, for those who are keen to try it out, can also come on to try. Alternatively, we can share some news later to you on how to rent some of the lights if you want to from Camera Rental Center. Yep.
I think we can talk a little bit about Camera Rental Center. We have tied up Raw has tied up with CRC to to give you guys some lovely treats essentially, right? They have their Learn Play at Home studio package that will come with a predetermined set of items that you can rent. If it's above $50, you will actually enjoy FOC deliveries during this time of the circuit breaker. So you are they will send everything down to you to your home. And also you will get 20% off rental for first time users. You just have to mention Raw. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what you see. Okay, so when I'm shooting this pastry and it's very small, so I'm using a very big light source. So can you imagine how small the pastry is and how big the light source is to create that very soft, gentle look? And I have to use, in fact, look at the reflector. I have one white reflector, three mirrors to just bounce back the light to give it this natural look. Yeah, so that I don't have to post-process so much. Everything is shot in camera. Yeah, so yeah, that's mirror. Okay. So no, I don't buy the screen. No, sorry, I didn't build the screen. I bought it. It's
I will share that. I will share that.
Yeah.
I will share that. No worries. You carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So does mirror whiteboard bounce light? Yes. Mirror bounce light back 1:1, and then usually I think whiteboard, depending on how close or how far, it's always very different. I believe that you guys should just try, and then you can learn better. Yeah. Yeah, you look at this, it's also working with very diffuse light, very close up. Okay, yeah, look at that. So that's a screen that I created. This was for a campaign for Sony's earphones as well. So that was the amount of reflectors and light and light source that you can see to create a very natural look. Yeah. Okay, I will share the picture. I will probably be posting on my Instagram those pictures very soon. Yeah, look at this. The light bounce off the wall down to the screen to double diffuse it even more, and then I have reflectors back, and then yeah. So this is to create a very 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 soft look as well. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah, that's Daniel. Look at how close up I do. So this is for jewelry shot, and usually, to create my lighting is actually one light source, at most two, and then I have a lot of reflectors basically to soften the shadows and yeah, kill off that hard lighting and things like that. Yeah. So this is a diffuser paper as well. All right. So if you want to see more, you can go to the Instagram and see. And then while we move to set a light, which is okay. Let me see how to. Okay. So this was that shot. let me pull out that picture. Let me see where is it now. Okay. Okay, I managed to do this the same way as this picture right here. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so I don't know whether you can see. Yeah, so this was how I created in the behind the scenes video as well. You saw, yeah, I actually put two octa to create this light, and yeah, and then I use these two reflector boards very close. And of course, if I move it closer, the light will get even softer as well. For example, let's say now I move this. See the changes in yeah, the shadows are even more flat for now. And for example, if let's say I'm to remove this entirely.
It takes time to render. You got to give it time to render. Then the shadow will start to appear or disappear depending on the render. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you see, it becomes more contrasty. The dress starts to have more details and things like that. Yeah. So what I can do is that, okay, let me just put this back, okay, and I'll show you what the light does when it's very close up. Oh, my computer the fan is so noisy.
Care to tell us why you place one light higher and one light lower?
Okay, this light was actually for to have that nice little edge on the arm, okay, so that the light comes slightly from behind, okay, in my shot, yeah, and then this so that it has this it covers the hair as well to have that dimension over the head, whereas the light that's slightly lower is actually feathered to bounce back into the wall to give that very soft look to wrap around. So the power of this light here is actually much lower power as well compared to this. So this is actually my key light. Yeah, my key light is actually from 45 degrees from the back.
You actually also have a hair light, which is built into the ceiling because your soft light, your key light, is actually bouncing off the ceiling, which you are topping already. You are already maximizing your height already. So in essence, the studio, which has a white ceiling, is also acting as a bit of a hair light. It's bouncing off the ceiling. Bryan, if you can angle to show the ceiling, can you just there, you see, you can see a bit of that light reacting a little bit into the ceiling, so that is acting a bit of a top bounce as well. Yeah, so you can actually have that consciously done.
Yeah, so
or not.
let me share another one where so okay, the other shot where I shot the bright, the Korean style one. Okay. Oh, I think I didn't save it the time. Yeah. Okay. So this was using the umbrella. Okay. Now, if I move this closer, you notice that there's still this very hard shadow on her. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change this light to the screen. Okay. Although I don't have a screen.
It's facing the wrong side.
Yeah, I know.
Got to spin it around. Yeah, set a light is sorely lacking a scrim. Once they have a scrim, that would help big time.
Yeah. Okay. This is not exactly a screen, but this is
the next
I
best
think
thing to a
Last
scrim.
also have this as
similar
well.
Similar.
Yeah. And then increase the power.
Wait for the render.
Yeah.
Wait for the render to happen. Yeah, it's not a hard light.
Now, you see, guys, it's a lot softer right now compared to just using the umbrella, because the umbrella light comes out very differently from a flat panel compared like this. And then if I have to move it closer, it will just get softer and the shadow will just disappear off. Yeah, of course, what you can do is that you can also move your reflectors closer as well to create this soft look.
Always remember to finesse your reflectors. You know, in every shoot,
Yeah.
always move your reflector 1 foot, then take a shot. Then go back 2 foot, take a shot. Angle it a little bit, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, and then take a shot. And see how every reflector behaves. That's what I always do. I'm always finessing when I'm lighting. Yeah.
So,
any light source.
So now you have seen that, you know, this is how I light, especially using a very big light source to create very soft light. So now, for those who are still not very sure, okay, let's move to using a small softbox, okay, and for example, let's say like this, yeah, okay. If I am to move this softbox away,
increase the power.
Let me feather away first. So even if I feather it away, right? So even if I feather it away, look at the shadow.
Wait. It's rendering. Okay.
So even the shadow area is still very harsh. It doesn't have that very nice wrap around, or doesn't have that, you know, it is still very like shadowy, or in Jeff's term, it's like very flash. Yeah, it doesn't have that natural look. So what you can do is that, you know, if you have really this small light source, just bring it maybe closer to the face.
I always try to adopt the 3 times rule. If I'm shooting a headshot, my softbox should be 3 times the size of the head.
Yeah.
If I'm shooting a half body, it should be 3 times the size of the half body. If I'm shooting a full body, it should be 3 times the size of a full body. You know, I mean, if you want soft light, I think, you know, you use that simple 3-time rule of sorts, right? You will always be able to get that super soft light, you know, whatever you are doing. If it's a headshot, 3 times the size of the head. If it's a half body, 3 times the size of a half body, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, so now you see that the diffusion, okay, the softbox is already this close, okay, from the camera's perspective. Yeah, this is how close you are to the softbox. But at the same time, even though at this close, because this softbox is so small, you can still see that the shadow is still quite harsh, even though I have my reflector board so close to her. So you are going to give yourself a lot of trouble if you want to say, okay, if I don't want to shoot so close up, I want to shoot slightly wider. And then suddenly everything is in frame, right? Yeah, suddenly everything is in frame, and then you have to move your softbox away and things like that. Yeah, so that's why I choose to use, like, you know, large light sources, so that it helps to make it helps to reflect light everywhere as well. I just have to control using cutters or reflector boards. At the same time, I can have my light slightly further away to mimic a window light or a panel light of that sort. Yeah. So
can you explain the difference between soft light and flat light?
Wow, flat light. Let me show you flat light then. Okay, this I think is flat light. Zoom in. Yeah. Okay. This is quite.
No, bring in another softbox. Pull another softbox in. Put one left, one right.
Yeah.
Yep.
My computer is screaming for help.
Satellite can be very taxing on the computer.
Yeah.
It's very, because it's all CG elements and moving in.
So you can see that, okay, this is the so-called very flash flashlight. Yeah, so this is actually I would say this is very flat because it's just it's boring. It's not wrong. Okay, there are a lot of people still doing this kind of lighting, because this is what everybody traditionally learn. I soften the shadow by adding another light, but yeah, it's please don't do that. Okay, so we want to teach you lighting that's more sophisticated, a little bit modern, and also to look as natural or as cinematic as possible. That's why Jeff has got this method of lighting that, it's very acute angles and very sharp angles and things like that. Yeah. So we can, put light behind if you want things to be a bit more interesting. Oh, this thing. Okay, why is everything that's not supposed to move? Okay. Please run. Okay, look at the reflected light back onto the person. Increase the power of this one as well.
You need to change your camera setting and expose it for shadow.
Yeah, no. I'm still moving my board. No assistant. See, now I'm moving paper. What the fuck? All right. Okay. Now,
I mean, this little example, while Bryan is setting up, this simple example really shows you that you don't need a lot of space. You don't need a big studio to create, fancy lighting, right? You just need to learn to work within the confines of your home, whatever small spaces you might have, and with two lights here, you can very effectively create a very fashiony looking picture, right?
okay, so this is how you can create you see backlit shot where the light rims around her on the side, yeah, and then using just reflector board instead of adding another light in front.
Yeah.
Just by putting two reflector boards, you get a very nice light back into the person that is very nice and soft.
And the light will look really cool if you can put it inside the wall, just like the way Bryan did it. He put the light inside the wall halfway.
Yeah. I ran out.
Yeah, you got lost in my joke. Yeah. If you put it inside the wall, the light will look different also,
Okay. Yeah, I think for those who want to play, go and buy your software and play. My computer, I think cannot take it already.
Can we share with the guys here about shotgunning the light, angling of the light so that you don't get the hot spot, coming from a side lit soft light that you always do.
Okay, can. Okay, let me get rid of the bots. Okay, I'll just delete the bots. Okay, now let's change to a slightly bigger light source. For example, let's say
yeah, that one, the one right at the end. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, so for example, if you are to use the light in this form, right? And now my light here is pointing directly, the center, which is the hottest spot, is going directly at her. Okay. What I can do is that I have my reflector back here at the same spot. Let me just increase the power for this because it's a key light.
We get rid of the edge light so it's easier to see.
Daniel, can you turn it off for me?
Mm-hmm.
Going.
Okay. Now, what I do is that, let's say I feather the light into the wall, into the reflector board.
I mean, ultimately, what we are trying to say is a very small move of a 5 degree of a 10 degree would greatly affect the way the light behaves on the model, right? Because obviously the closest portion of the light is going to be, touching the model's right side of the face, right side of the arm, so on and so forth, and that often will burn, right? Just purely because it's the inverse square law, right? Because that's closest to the soft panel, soft light that's coming. So to prevent that portion of the face from burning, you more often than not feather the light so that the edge of the fall off of that softbox, which is that black tip, right, would then create a little bit of a shadow that would then create a slightly underexposed edge on the face.
Now, look at this. This is using only one light source and a relatively large softbox and a reflector. So you look at the shadows and you see this is not burnt yet. This is still within the limits of a very high key beauty shot. Yeah. So what I can do is that actually you can just move it closer. Okay. And then my shadows are a bit more lifted. Push it back a little bit so that the arms are also have a cleaner look there. Okay. Yeah, I'm still getting a bit of a Rembrandt light. I believe that if I zoom in closer, my catch light on her will still be quite nice as well. Yeah. So for a close-up shot like that. Okay, it's maybe a little bit burnt. Yeah. Okay, now look at that. This is a very nice, high key, and it's nice and soft. Yeah.
Yep. Can you rotate the light, the softbox a little bit to the right a little and left, just to show the benefits of burning, feathering?
Okay. I change to this angle so that I can see also. Okay. Now this is pointing. Okay, look at the image on the bottom where you see the incidence of the light is going directly at her. Yeah.
Yep,
okay.
That red line.
Yeah. This box here. Yeah, you can see the incidence. Yeah. So the incidence is now 0 to her. Okay. And then this is the hot spot that you're getting. You can do this as well. Or potentially this can be a very, very nice shot, but it will not be as soft. This is considered still quite hard and also very high key. Yeah, and it gives you this very contrasty look on the shadow of the face, and it's not as soft. But if you're going for this look, yes, I would think you want it. But this is also quite a very high fashion look, I would say. Beauty shot. Yeah. But if you like my kind of aesthetics where you like things a bit more softer, okay, now watch the incidence as well. I'm gonna feather it close to 90 degrees and have the light just bounce back to her softly. So you see the bounce back light is actually brushing her on the shadow area very, very gently. There.
Yep. As you can see, right? Just by moving without moving the light stand, just by panning the light left and right, you can achieve this look that Bryan has, right? Most people would do what he just did by aiming the lights bang on into the model, right? And you get that hotness on one side of the face, and you are forced to expose to get this not overly burned. So you're forced to expose towards the bright side, and that will in turn drop your shadow into a darker exposure, right? To create that look that was what he did just now, right? Which is not exactly soft-ish. It's kind of contrasty, but yet soft. Whereas a slight shift in rotation of the head by panning it to the right to just hit that white reflector, he is effectively bouncing more light off the reflector back into the shadow to give it shadow but not shadow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then it becomes a little bit more balanced that allows him to expose at this look, so to speak. Do I make sense?
Yeah, that's right. So JD has a question, he mentioned that taking head shots, you place octave very close. Okay, so that's exactly why I also don't like to put, very large light source very close to the body, because I want to have a very large light source, but far away so that I can create negative space as well. So that's one of the reasons why I choose to use screen. I double diffuse, and therefore I have that whole canvas, right, to create negative space. That's one for my composition. Secondly is that I do not see all the closeness of the light source in the catch light. I can create other forms of catch light through reflector boards, or adding another smaller light source in front just to create a catch light, or even adding a light tube, etc. Yeah, so that's how you actually finesse that whole aesthetics into your final product.
Okay. Abel has a question, Bryan. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at it. So, Abel, I think, did you miss the first part of it? Because earlier on, I actually spoke about creating very soft light using natural light as well. Yeah, so it's actually achievable on location using the screen. Okay, the screen is actually very, very portable, but of course, if you're shooting solo, you might not be able to do so, but I have other alternatives that you can try in the event that you have an assistant. Yeah, to have a screen. Maybe you can just buy the smaller version, which is the 2x1 meters, and then put it on C-stand or light stand with sandbags, and then you just have it over.
I mean, end of the day, seriously, a screen is as simple as a big piece of white bed sheet, right?
Yeah.
A simple piece of big ass cloth, shower curtain that's white. It can be anything. In my younger days when I couldn't afford a screen, I would go to IKEA and buy the frosted shower curtain, right?
Yeah.
It is about a 6x6 size, literally. And then, I would just clip it to 2 light stands, or I tape it to something that I can a string across the room, and that is a scrim in essence. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So Abel, what you should do is that you should train on how to shoot, or how to be very sensitive towards using harnessing available lights to create very soft look. So for example, like when I'm outdoor or when I'm shooting on location and things like that, yeah, I will learn to position myself perhaps in an open shape. It's something that a lot of photographers are doing because they want to do photo shoot as and when they want, or even at noon time. Yeah, so a lot of photographers say that you can't shoot at noon time, but if you learn to look at light well, that afternoon light could potentially give you a very nice screen overhead, and then if you just enter into this slightly shadier area, you will have diffused the light a lot more and create a lot of reflected nice glows just under the neck or the floor. You put a reflector on the floor to change uh, the way the light is being reflected back up from the afternoon sun. Yeah. So there's actually a lot of ways. It just depending on how sensitive you are to manipulate the light that's given to you on location. Yeah, it's the same principle actually. Whether is it studio, artificial, or natural.
Yep.
Jeff.
One very good exercise that everyone can do is actually something I used to make my assistants do when they when I was younger. Was to make them go Toys R Us and buy a Barbie doll, right? Go buy a Barbie doll and then use the Barbie doll and create miniature lighting setups with that Barbie doll, using torch lights, using your desk lamp. If you want to practice daylight, bring your Barbie doll outside, and use a piece of paper as a screen, right? Put over the Barbie doll, and then you move that piece of paper around to see how the paper reacts on the Barbie doll. Create miniature settings by cutting out paper and then pasting it to the size of a softbox, and then put your torchlight behind it, and then you move around. It's a wonderful way to practice lighting.
Yeah.
Obviously, today we have things like set a light, but again, set a light, you'll be inundated with so many different things and you got to learn the software and so on and so forth. Sometimes just using your hands, have that tactility and touch the Barbie doll, move the torchlight around. You can actually learn a lot about lighting just by doing that. I promise you, a lot of my assistants have benefited from this Barbie doll exercise. Yeah. Okay. DGT has a question. Is thinking of creating a home studio. What does Raw recommend is the best basic setup for a home studio for portraits? Straight up, I would say
Rent first.
Rent and figure out what kind of lighting suits you and what kind of accessories suit your style, right? The simplest, most basic setup is to have one light and practice with that first. Get one light, get one softbox, get one umbrella, and practice with that one light. Once you're confident with that one light, then get another light. For portraits, I would say ideally it's to have 2 to 3 lights. Why 2 to 3 lights? One will always be your main light. One can potentially be your hair light or your backlight, edge light. The third light could be your field light or your other edge light, so to speak. If your second light becomes a hair light, then your third light can become an edge light. So basically, most portrait shooters will at least have 1 to 3 lights, but that really depends on your style of photography. You may be a portrait shooter that doesn't like hair light. You just like that one light coming from the side kind of look. So you probably have to play around, and I think the best way is to rent all this equipment to have a feel before committing into buying equipment. Yeah, right. Okay, obviously now's the best time. CRC allows you to have discounts and delivery to your doorstep, so that's kind of cool. All right. David, quick question about exporting our files with our current FXD SLR. What is the maximum pixels per inch can we do? 400, 500?
Actually, I just leave it at 300 because most of the prints are at 300 pixels DPI. I don't see anything that you can do more. And everything that is on Instagram is also very low res. So yeah, there's no point to go higher than that, above industry standards. Yeah, unless you are even doing for large prints. So for large print, Jeff, what do you even?
Large print, firstly, you won't even go near a 25 megapixel camera lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want a higher megapixel camera. But generally, even the higher megapixel 300 DPI is the standard. But that being said, 300 DPI is more for both, more for retouching and so on and so forth. But end of day, even though you go printing into billboards, they don't print at 300 DPI. They print at 72 DPI. Because you don't consume the billboard standing 1 meter from it. You stand 500 meters. Yeah, at a distance. Yeah. Are screens available for rental? Wow, that's a good question. We need to check CRC whether they have. I believe so.
I don't rent mine. Later you dirty mine, then my light come out is green one.
Let me check for you.
Yeah,
Don't see any on your site.
Yeah.
Okay, we can always get them to buy so you can rent.
Yeah.
It could fall under video, maybe.
Okay, look at set a light here. Yeah, this is how I would love to shoot something like right now. If I can do this shoot right now, I'll be so happy. Yeah. Look at that nice glow. This is adding on another light at the back. Yeah, just while Jeff is getting his thing. Yeah, so I turn on this light just for a little nice backlit glow so that it wraps around everything very nicely. And move it closer to her as well for something a bit stronger. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, you're right. They don't have it seems. Yeah. Well, I mean, if they don't have it, we have it. We've got 3 in RAW. If you need, we can always rent it to you. No worries. All good. Yeah. We'll take care of you. But I will. It's a good thing. I think I'll get Jason from CRC to invest in some. I think it's always a good thing to have scrims.
Alvin on ring light. Yeah, ring lights are actually a very big thing now because all the influencers are using for TikTok video for everything. So, I I personally don't really use ring light. I think Jeff use it once in a while. Yeah.
Yep, I have ring light as well in RAW.
Yeah.
We have that. CLC doesn't have it. It's a very specialty light. Yeah, it was quite a fad, back in the 90s. Ring light for fashion. It obviously came from the medical field. In terms of shooting all those medical stuff, and then fashion photographers adopted it to make it fashionable. It's interesting. I sometimes use it to fill in the shadows for my beauty ads. But sometimes that ring light, gives a pretty funky catchlight in the eye that sometimes I may not want. So it really depends. Yeah. It's not whether is it still a thing. End of day, who is this? Alvin. Sorry, Alvin. It's about personal taste. If it's something that you like to do, go for it. There's no rules. There's no, no one's stopping you. Yeah, go try it, play with it, enjoy. All right. Okay. How do you position the light to the screen, Bryan?
Okay. Earlier on, I have shown actually.
Can you pretend that we have a scrim and then you put a light behind the scrim? Don't use this. Use the board.
Okay. For example, let's say this is the screen, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. In fact, there's a screen that is this size, 2 by 1 meter. I just ordered it actually. So what I will do is that I'll put a bare bulb alternate or something like that. Yeah. Okay. The reason is that you need to see the spread of this light. Okay. For example, let's say now I turn it on at full power. Okay. What it does is, not bad. Actually, quite cool. The high key look is.
Just because it's bouncing all over the walls and everything.
Maybe I'll go back to the studio and try this. Yeah. So, okay. You need to see that if let's say this is too close, right? Okay. You see this spread will not be the light source will still be that small. So if let's say you have this by 1 meter, you should move this just nice to cover the width of your board, and then this becomes the size of your softbox potentially. Yeah. But if it becomes bigger like that, right? Okay. If this is your screen and you only have a small one, what you can do is that you can use a cutter Okay, you can use a cutter to cut off this light so that the light moves into the whole of this screen evenly. Yeah, the further away you pull this light, it will cover this whole board equally. Your screen, if this is a shoot-through screen, it become a 2 by 1 softbox.
Yep. The other way is to potentially put a translucent umbrella on this head to achieve a double baffle light.
Double diffusion.
Yep, as well. You can do that. Obviously, there's the other way, which is also to put the reflector board behind and then bounce into the reflector board. Then from the reflector board, bounce back into the screen. So that's another way of bouncing lights as well.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. So if you look at this schematic the diagram, the top-down view. Yeah. So this is how you shoot through a screen. So for me, sometimes what I'll do is that I will actually balance. That means that instead of having this face the subject, I'll use it as a flat panel diagonally. That means like directly like that. Yeah. And then I'll put this maybe to shoot off into this angle, and then have the light spill to the back so that it looks more natural. it has that fall off, it has that stray light going to the background as well, so that it has a very soft light here and slightly harder light there, yeah, at the back. So this will work as well, yeah. But because this right here is a reflector board, so you can't see the effect.
Yep.
We will eventually do one live demonstration in the studio with our equipments in real life. Yeah, so we will do that. We'll show you the difference moving in grids. We'll explain to you, say, okay, we move this light one meter down, or half a meter, turn this up and down. Yeah, we'll show you in real life. We'll shoot with tethered and show you the out of camera raw onto our live session as well. Yeah, so hopefully when phase 2 we open and we can do that, I think that's the plan that we are having. Yeah. So let's wrap up for today. So quickly, it's already 10:35. We'll answer some questions and then yeah.
Any final questions for Bryan on his clean and fresh and bright lighting? Where you sell your detergent?
Where I sell the detergent? Let me go and manufacture it, and then after that we'll sell it. I think I'll sell to US first because they are willing to drink detergent to kill the viruses. Yeah, so I think I have a better market there actually.
Yes, Wei Lun. I tend to always gel all my lights. I very seldom let my flash be flash. Because if you really walk around the real world, very seldom do you see super white light. You know what I mean? If you walk into a mall, there will be tungsten, there will be warm. You walk into the shade, it's cool in terms of color and temperature. Sunset, the light is always more warm. Sunrise, a bit more warm. So there's varying color temperatures in the real world. Very seldom do you get a super white colored light existing in the world, right? So I tend to try to make my pictures look more real world. That will be put up by the end of the year, and we've been working with industry associations to make... Peter, it's okay. How are you, Peter? It's okay. I can't hear you. Yeah. Yes. So Wei Lun, correct. Yeah. So try to start gelling. Start gelling and put CTOs or CTB. Quarter tend to be too light. I tend to go with half CTO or half CTB. That would be slightly better to play with, or full, half to full. Yeah. Start playing with that, and then you will start to achieve a little bit more real, natural looking images rather than that white over flash look that makes it look very fake. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. See, so now you see, look at my setup now. I've added total of 3 lights, 2 reflector. Yeah. And you have a very high key, very soft, beauty looking kind of portrait.
I love that quarter cut reflector coming at an angle. That's always a very nice touch, because the human faces have a lot of shadows, right? Under the nose, under the eyes, under the ridge, under the lip, under the jaw, under the neck. They are all shadows. So you more often than not want to get something in there to just take care of this little bit of shadows, to just break it up and open it up a little bit. It tends to look a little bit fresher.
JD, to create soft light at events with a speed light, it's not impossible. I have managed to create soft looking light.
A1. Photo A1.
Yeah, but at the same time, you need to be very confident of your equipment as well. I shoot at very high ISO. I'm looking at ISO maybe like 4000 or 6004 even, and I'm shooting at maybe f1.8, f2, and I balance my ambient light very closely with my speed light. That means that if let's say my ambient light is about 2800 100 Kelvin, I will gel my speed light to maybe about 3002 or 2000 full CPO, when I flash, it will be at almost +1 EV of the flash power instead of TTL 0. Our flash one will EV1, and yeah, it will be very very nice and soft actually. Very well balanced and things like that. Give it a try. Yeah, the high ISO is to not allow the flash to work so hard. I think even at 3002 should be enough depending on which hotel or which venue you go to. Yeah, so I'm speaking with experience of shooting in very dark venues like Capella or St. Regis or places where the ambient is really really dark. Yeah, so that's the maximum that I go. I think I even remember settings of 6004 ISO 1/80 and 1.6 at 1.6. That's my limit. I shoot even for weddings in dinner venues. Yeah. Clamshell lighting. Yeah.
Okay. So you want to answer Chris' question? Let's take that as the last question, shall we?
Yeah.
Bryan?
Okay. So clamshell lighting for beauty, not just for beauty. I think this lighting Jeff has taught me for a lot of application. I use it for lifestyle. I use it for headshot, corporate portraits, and things like that. Yeah, and it's a very very flattering light because it fills up the pores of somebody's skin very nicely, and it makes anybody in that light looks just amazing out of camera. So I think the application for clamshell lighting is more than just for beauty. Yeah, it's simply to make people look beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. JD has a question about noise and grain. That's a different conversation, lah.
I don't add grain. Yeah, I basically don't add more grains to how I want my digital image to look. But at the same time, if you are shooting very clean and things like, I mean, it really depends on the application. Yeah, noise, you denoise and then you add grain, then yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron. So, but of course, noise is digital and grains are somewhat organic, but it's still the same to me lah, because I like my stuff very very clean. Yeah.
Okay. Shall we stop the screen share?
Okay. Let me.
Yep.
Glad you asked for it because my.
Hang on.
Just
Daniel, hang on.
Okay, we're gonna share some good stuff with you guys.
Okay. So quick mention again. I think Daniel, are you ready to put it up?
Yep. Hold on, give me a moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Can we go to the CRC slide?
Okay, so we have gotten you some very good deals because we know a lot of photographers can't always buy everything, especially in tough times like that. So even for myself, when I started 12 years ago, I spent a lot of my time renting equipment because I do not know what I want to buy. Yeah. So maybe Jeff, you can share with them, what we managed to.
Yep. Can we go back again? Can you stop it from moving? Or
Hold on.
Yep. Cool. All right. So yeah, go to camera rental site. They have this learn play at home studio package where you will see some pre-packaged items that they have already put together. So for only 108, the package includes free courier service, two-way, delivery and collect, 5-day rental of the following: Pro Photo B1, a Manfrotto light stand with white umbrella and a black and silver umbrella and a trigger of your choice. So they've got quite a few packages there in terms of they have this simple clean package where you can actually have also Alex do a live one-on-one video workshop for you. That is something that you can have for an extra cost of 138 private coaching. So that's kind of cool. So after renting the lights, Alex will actually spend time with you to teach you how to use and work with the light on a one-on-one session. That's really cool. So yeah, so with this, you obviously, if it's the first time, you can get a 20% discount on top of that. So it's actually quite a deal because it's 5 days rental.
Yeah, that works out to $20 a day. So you just go and shoot your food, shoot your family.
Yeah, so I think that's a real wonderful deal. So please seriously go up your game, level up, play, rent, practice and put into practice what you have learned today. Seriously, you may see what Bryan is doing could be super easy just by looking, but it's seriously not as easy as it is until you actually physically move the light, physically finesse the light, physically take the picture and see the result. Because that 5-degree movement to the left, the 5-degree movement to the right actually affects the picture greatly. So please do yourself a favor, go out there and practice what you have learned today. So hopefully you can improve and get a little bit closer to what Bryan has taught you today. Yeah, awesome, cool. And then another shout out. Hang on, another shout out that we are going to do a session next week for the different industries. We're going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays to the entire photography industry to talk about getting back to work, because we don't know when the government will open up our industry to allow us to get back to work. But what we'll do is we will have the PPAS to come together with us to talk in depth about how we can have the right protocols in place, what we can do to get ready for when phase 2 hopefully opens up for us, and how we could do the right thing so that we don't fuck our industry up and then it goes back into a lockdown, right? We need to seriously band together and do the right thing for our industry. So I urge you guys to come on board next week, Tuesday or Thursday, depending on your genre. We split the genres into 2 different sessions. So whichever genre that you are in, find your genre and join us. Talk to us, tell us your frustrations, tell us your concerns, so that we as a group of photographers in the industry with the PPAS, we can hopefully try to address you with the right processes in place. And then with that, we will also take it in and put it into a proper document that we can then push forward to the right agencies and government departments to get our cause to move forward for hopefully a opening of our sector. Right?
So we welcome suggestions as well. So sometimes we already have certain SOPs put in place, and we are also working photographers that maybe not in the right genre. We do not have the right not everything is perfect. So if you have a better suggestion of how we can do certain things, potentially your suggestion will be taken seriously as well. Yeah, as well as questions that you think that certain things can be done in a certain way. Why is it not? Yeah, we will try our best to answer that. But of course, we do not have every answer. But we'll try our best to hear you out and feedback to the right channels.
Because PPAS, the committee of PPAS, have been working very hard behind the scenes. They may not have told you earlier, but they have been doing it for quite a while now. They've been interacting with the various governmental departments to get our industry going. So it's a process. It will take time, but if we can be more candid and more open and talk as a as a united community, I think, you know, we will have a stronger voice. Okay. So if any of you who has not actually joined the PPS, now is the best time ever to do that. To join the PPS so that we can then, you know, stand united as professional photographers. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Bryan. Thank you for a lovely session.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
everybody.
thanks for the hard work you have put in. I know you've been busy these past few days. You know, getting quite a few different things together. Yeah. Cool.
Oh yes. Also for next week's session, it will be on Zoom only. Will not be posted online on Facebook Live. So yes, just check the link. We will give it 15 minutes before.
Yep. Why we are only doing a Zoom is because we are encouraging every one of you to come in and have a voice and not just be campers and then slowly lurking in Facebook Live and watching. Okay. We want you, we want to see you, we want to talk to you, we want to come down to the grassroots level to interact with the entire industry. All right. So we'll see you next Tuesday or Thursday, depending on your genre. Thank you guys. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.